The phone shattered the midnight hush of my Manhattan high-rise like a brick through glass, its shrill ring yanking me from a dreamless sleep. Eli? Eli, it's Mom. Please, God, pick up. Her voice cracked over the line, raw and ragged. The kind of desperation that claws at old wounds you thought were scarred over. I sat bolt upright in my king-sized bed, heart slamming against my ribs, because in that instant, I knew. The past I'd outrun for 8 years had just crashed back in, demanding I face the family that had thrown me away like yesterday's trash for daring to love who I loved. I gripped the phone so tight my knuckles bleached white, staring at the glowing screen. Mom flashing like a warning siren. The city lights bled through my floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the minimalist loft I'd clawed my way into. Sleek leather furniture, abstract art from up-and-coming queer artists, a life built from the ashes of rejection. But her plea hung there, heavy as the humid Kansas summers I'd fled. "What is it, Mom?" I finally whispered, my voice a stranger's, laced with the drawl I'd scrubbed clean but could never fully erase. "It's Dad. He's bad, Eli. Real bad. Cancer. Stage 4. And we're losing the farm. We need you. Please." Those words landed like punches. Dad, the unyielding patriarch who'd bellowed, "Get out and don't come back, you abomination." The night I confessed I was gay at 17. His face twisted in fury under the harsh kitchen fluorescence of our clapboard house in rural Nebraska. I'd packed a duffel with trembling hands while my little sister Clara sobbed in the corner, and my brother Jake just stared at the floor, silent as the grave. Mom had wrung her apron, whispering apologies that dissolved into nothing. Now 8 years later they needed me, the son they'd disowned for being different, for kissing a boy behind the bleachers at prom and getting caught. The queer kid who'd hitchhiked to Omaha, then scraped scholarships to NYU, hustling barista gigs and freelance graphic design until I landed at a boutique ad agency in the village, where rainbow flags flew proud and love wasn't a sin. I didn't hang up. That's the part that haunts me still, the weakness, or maybe the lingering ache of blood ties that don't snap easy. "I'll come," I said, the words tasting like ash. "But don't expect miracles." She sobbed her thanks, a flood of gratitude I didn't want, and I was left in the dark, the skyline mocking me with its indifferent sparkle. By dawn, I'd booked a red-eye to Omaha, my gut churning with a cocktail of dread and something sharper. The ghost of what-ifs, the boy I'd been before they broke me. The flight was a blur of recycled air and regret, the heartland unrolling below like a faded quilt. Endless cornfields stitched with gravel roads, silos standing sentinel against a sky too big for secrets. I rented a beat-up Ford at the airport, the AC blasting cold against the July heat that slapped me like an old friend's betrayal. The drive to Willow Creek took 2 hours, each mile marker a milepost back in time. The diner where I'd scarfed pancakes after school, dreaming of Broadway. The creek where Jake and I fished for catfish, back when brothers shared everything but shame. Now, the radio crackled with country ballads about lost loves and second chances, and I wondered if fate had a sick sense of humor. The farm loomed at the end of County Road 17, its white paint peeling like sunburnt skin, the barn sagging under years of neglect. Dust devils danced in the driveway as I pulled up, killing the engine with a finality that echoed my resolve. Mom burst from the screen door before I could unfold from the seat, her arms wrapping around me like kudzu. Fierce, unrelenting. She smelled of lavender soap and desperation. Her once vibrant curls now streaked silver. "Oh, Eli, my boy," she murmured into my shoulder, and I stiffened, the hug a minefield of memories. "You came. I knew you would." Behind her, Clara hovered on the porch steps, all grown up at 22. Her freckled face a mirror of mine but softer, eyes red-rimmed. She offered a tentative smile, the kind that says I'm sorry without words. Jake emerged last, broad-shouldered and sun-leathered from farm work, his jaw set like Dad's. He nodded once, gruff. "Eli." No embrace, no apologies. Just that single syllable, heavy with the unspoken. We were strangers in our own bloodline, pieced together by crisis. Inside, the kitchen was a time capsule. Formica counters scarred from decades of meals, the same crucifix nailed above the sink glaring judgment. Dad lay in the living room recliner, a husk of the man who'd chased me down the road with a shotgun loaded with rock salt. More warning than wound. Tubes snaked from his arms to beeping machines rented on credit. His breath a wet rattle that filled the room like thunder. He cracked one eye when I approached. The blue faded to gray. "Didn't think you'd show," he rasped, voice gravel over glass. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. "Neither did I." We locked eyes, two combatants in a war neither had won. And in that stare, I saw the flicker. Not regret, exactly, but the hollow of a man staring down his end. Mom bustled with coffee. Clara sliced pie no one wanted, and Jake paced like a caged bull. The talk turned practical fast. Chemo costs piling up like unpaid bills, the bank circling the mortgage like vultures. "We need 30 grand by month's end," Mom said, her hands twisting a dish rag. "Or we lose it all." 30 grand. I could swing it. My agency's latest campaign for a queer youth hotline had netted a bonus that burned a hole in my savings. But handing it over felt like surrender, like erasing the kid who'd slept in shelters, the nights I'd cried myself raw wondering if love was worth the exile. "I'll wire it," I said finally, the words leaden. Jake's head snapped up. "Just like that? After everything?" The room went still, the air thick as sorghum syrup. Clara shot him a warning glance, but Jake barreled on, his face flushing. "You run off to your fancy city life, prancing around with your kind, and now you swoop in like some savior? We managed without you." The slur hung unspoken, but it landed like a slap. The same venom Dad had spewed that night, the night Jake had stood silent, complicit. "Jake," Mom hissed, but I held up a hand, my voice steady as steel. "Yeah, you did, while I was rebuilding from nothing. But blood's blood, right? Even if it's poisoned." Dad coughed, a wet hack that silenced us all. And in the pause, Clara slipped me a note. "Meet me later? Need to talk." See, that night, after Dad's morphine lullabied him to uneasy sleep, Clara and I walked the back 40 under a canopy of stars that felt too close, too judgmental. The fireflies blinked like hesitant confessions, and the creek murmured secrets to the reeds. "Jake's not all bad," she started, kicking a pebble into the water. "He's just scared. Dad's dying, the farm's drowning in debt, and he feels like it's his fault for not stepping up sooner." I snorted, the sound bitter. "Scared? Try guilty." He watched them kick me out, Clara. Didn't lift a finger. She stopped, turning to face me, her eyes catching the moonlight. Pleading, pained. "He was 17, Eli. A kid himself. And Mom, she wrote you letters, every month. Burned 'em after Dad found one." The revelation hit like a rogue wave, pulling me under. Letters? All those years of radio silence. I'd painted her as the villain too, complicit in the exile. "Why tell me now?" I asked, voice cracking. "Because you're not the only one who's been lost." She hesitated. Then, "And because there's someone you need to meet, tomorrow, in town." Her words lingered as I lay on the lumpy guest bed that night, the house creaking like old bones. Sleep evaded me, chased by ghosts. The boy I'd been, stealing kisses with Tommy Hale in the hayloft. His laugh a sunlight I chased across state lines. Tommy, who I'd lost to college and distance, but whose memory still warmed the cold corners of my heart. Now, this family dredging up the past just as I'd stitched a new life from its threads. Little did I know, the real storm was brewing, one that would test every scar and force me to choose. Forgive the unforgivable or walk away forever. The next morning dawned sticky and unrelenting, the sun baking the earth into cracked clay as I nursed black coffee on the porch. Jake had already vanished into the fields, his truck kicking up dust like a middle finger. Mom hovered, pressing biscuits into my hands, her apologies a litany. "I should have fought harder, should have followed you that night." I nodded, the forgiveness a half-formed thing, tender and tentative. "Water under the bridge, Mom. Or creek, in this case." Clara appeared in her nurse's scrubs, keys jingling. "Come on, city boy. Town awaits." We piled into her ancient Civic, the AC wheezing like Dad's lungs, and headed the 10 miles to Willow Creek proper. A Main Street fossil with a single stoplight, the kind of place where everyone knows your sins before you commit them. She parked outside the Willow Diner, its neon sign flickering open like a weary heartbeat. "Wait here," she said, vanishing inside. Minutes stretched, my mind replaying Jake's barb, the way it echoed Dad's rage. Then the door swung open, and out stepped a ghost. Not mine, but close enough to steal my breath. Tall, lean, with sun-bleached hair and eyes like storm clouds. He carried the easy grace of someone who'd tamed the land but never the heart. Ryan Whitaker, Tommy's older brother, the golden boy who'd pinned me once at a wrestling match in high school, his grin all mischief and unspoken heat. "Eli?" he said, voice low and rough as gravel, a smile tugging his lips that hit me like summer lightning. "Ryan." My throat went dry, the name a talisman I'd buried deep. Tommy's shadow, the straight arrow farm kid who'd teased me mercilessly but looked at me too long in the locker room showers. Last I'd heard, he'd married his high school sweetheart, popped out a couple kids, settled into the family spread. But here he was, sliding into the booth across from me as Clara waved goodbye, his knee brushing mine under the Formica table. A spark I hadn't felt in years. "Coffee?" The waitress, Gladys with her beehive and knowing wink, poured without asking. Ryan stirred in sugar, 3 heaping spoons, just like always. "Heard you were back. Small world. Huh." His gaze held mine, steady, searching, none of the judgment I'd braced for. "Small and suffocating," I replied, forcing levity. But the air between us crackled, charged with the what-ifs of youth. The bonfires where he'd pass me a beer, his laugh cutting through the night. The time he'd found me crying after Dad's first fairy slur, clapping a hand on my shoulder that lingered too warm, too kind. "What are you doing here, Ryan?" "Slumming it with the prodigal son." He leaned in, forearms corded with muscle from baling hay, scent of earth and aftershave wrapping around me. "Clara called, said you might need a friendly face. And, truth, I've been waiting for this, for you to come home." The words hung, vulnerable, and my pulse stuttered. Waiting, for me, the outcast, the different one. We talked for hours, the diner emptying around us like a stage set clearing for the real act. He spoke of his divorce 2 years back, the wife who'd left for a city boy with bigger dreams, of raising his daughter Lily alone, her giggles a balm against lonely nights. "Makes you rethink everything," he said, tracing the rim of his mug. "What matters? Who?" His eyes flicked to mine, a question unspoken, and I felt the pull, magnetic, dangerous. This wasn't the boy I remembered. This was a man, cracked open by life, offering a hand across the chasm. By the time we parted, the sun dipping low, he'd convinced me to join him for a bonfire that night at his place. "No pressure," he said, scribbling his number on a napkin. "Just fireflies and stories." I pocketed it, heart racing, the farm's weight lifting just a fraction. Driving back, Clara grilled me with a grin. "Sparks." I shrugged, but inside, embers glowed, hope, foolish and fierce. That evening, as twilight bled purple across the fields, Jake cornered me in the barn, pitchfork in hand like a scepter of accusation. "Saw you with Ryan. What's that about? You here to stir up more trouble?" His eyes burned, jealousy or fear I couldn't parse. "Dad's dying, Eli. We don't need your distractions." "Distractions?" I laughed, sharp. "That's rich, coming from the guy who let me walk alone." The words ignited, and he lunged. Not to hit, but to grab my shirt, faces inches apart. "You think you're better? With your city suits and your lifestyle? We were fine till I what? Existed." I shoved him back, chest heaving. The barn smelled of hay and fury, our breaths mingling in the dim. For a heartbeat, I saw it. The boy he'd been, terrified of losing his place in Dad's rigid world. But the moment shattered when he spat, "Stay away from Ryan. He's one of us now. Straight. Settled." The lie stung, but I held my ground. "One of us? Or just scared like you?" He stormed out, leaving me in the shadows, the encounter a fresh bruise on an old wound. Dinner was silent agony, Mom's eyes darting between us, Dad's coughs punctuating the tension. I excused myself early, claiming jet lag, but instead, I drove to Ryan's under cover of stars. His farm was a mirror of ours. Sprawling acres, a wraparound porch lit by string lights. Lily, 7 and gap-toothed, greeted me with a fierce hug, her pigtails bouncing. Uncle Eli, Daddy said you're from the Big Apple. Do you know Spider-Man? Her innocence disarmed me, and I scooped her up, spinning until giggles echoed. Ryan watched from the grill, burgers sizzling, his smile soft as the fireflies winking hello. We ate on blankets in the yard, Lily chattering about school crushes and unicorn dreams, her presence a buffer against the undercurrent pulling Ryan and me closer. After she crashed on the couch to a Disney flick, we stoked the bonfire, flames leaping like confessions. Jake give you hell? He asked, passing a beer. Always does. I stared into the blaze, the heat mirroring the one building low in my belly. Thinks I'm here to corrupt the town. Ryan chuckled, low and warm. Small minds, big fears. He shifted, our shoulders brushing, and the air thickened. Eli, that night after prom, when Tommy told me about you too, I should have said something, done something. Tommy, the name twisted like a knife. My first love, sweet and stolen, ended by his move to Lincoln for vet school. You were his brother, protecting him. No, his hand found mine in the dark, tentative, calluses rough against my palm. Protecting myself from this. He squeezed, and the world narrowed to that touch, electric, inevitable. I turned, our faces inches apart, the fire painting gold across his features. Ryan. The kiss was slow, deliberate, like rain after drought. Lips tentative at first, then deepening with the hunger of years denied. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my cheekbone, and I melted into it, tasting smoke and salt and possibility. No rush, no desperation. Just two men finding their way home in each other, under a sky vast as forgiveness. We pulled apart breathless, foreheads pressed, his whisper a vow. I've known since high school, Eli, buried it deep, but seeing you now, it's like waking up. Gay. Ryan Whitaker, the straight farm boy, was gay like me. The revelation settled soft, a missing piece clicking into place. We talked till the fire died to embers, sharing stories of hidden heartaches. His first crush on a college roommate fumbled and fled. My string of city flings that never stuck because none felt like home. By midnight, as I drove back, windows down to the chorus of crickets, I felt alive, truly terrifyingly alive, for the first time since that shotgun night. But dawn brought the backlash. Jake was waiting on the porch, arms crossed, face thunderous. Heard you were at Ryan's late. What the hell, Eli? You gonna turn this place into your playground? Mom hovered behind, wringing her hands, while Clara shot me an apologetic glance from the kitchen window. It's none of your business, I snapped, slamming the car door. Ryan's a grown man. We all are. Grown man with a kid, and Dad's legacy. Jake's voice rose, cracking. You waltz in, play hero with your money, seduce the neighbor. Seduce. The word ignited fury. Or just love. Something you wouldn't know about. Standing by while they broke me. I stepped closer, voices echoing off the siding. Mom intervened, pulling Jake back, but the damage was done. Lines drawn, alliances fracturing. That afternoon, as I sat with Dad, adjusting his fore under Mom's watchful eye, he gripped my wrist with surprising strength. Don't let him run you off again, son. His eyes, milky but piercing, held mine. I was wrong, scared. Bible thumpers in my ear, thinking it was sin. But seeing you now, strong, proud. Wish I'd been that for you. Tears pricked, unbidden. Too late for wishes, Dad. But I didn't pull away. The moment a fragile bridge over the abyss. He nodded, exhausted, and slept. Outside, the world tilted. Ryan texted, miss you already. Dinner tomorrow? Lily wants pancakes. Heart swelling, I replied yes to pancakes, to him, to this fragile new chapter. Yet betrayal lurked, sharp as barbed wire. 2 days later, Clara pulled me aside after a tense family lunch, her face ashen. Jake, he went to the bank. Used your name, said you were co-signing the loan extension. Forged your signature on the docs. If it falls through, it'll tank your credit. Ruin you. The world spun, betrayal a gut punch. My brother, the silent witness to my exile, now stabbing me in the back for the farm? Why? I choked, rage and grief colliding. He's desperate. Thinks it's the only way. Dad's scans came back worse. We need the full 30 now, not wired later. She pressed a folder into my hands. Papers, signatures that mimicked mine too well. Fix this, Eli, before it's too late. I stormed the fields, finding Jake elbow-deep in tractor repairs, grease-streaked and defiant. You son of a bitch, I roared, waving the folder. This? After everything? He straightened, wiping his brow, eyes hard. Had to. You're sitting on cash, actin' like a king. Family first, Eli. Always was. Family? I laughed, hollow. You let them disown me. Stood there while Dad called me filth. The words poured. A dam breaking, years of silence flooding out. He flinched but held ground. I was a kid, scared you'd drag us all down with your choices. Choices? Loving a man isn't a choice, Jake. It's who I am. We were nose to nose, breaths ragged, the sun beating down like judgment. Then something shifted. His shoulders slumped, eyes glistening. I know. Saw it in myself, too. That night. Wanted to run with you, but I stayed. For Mom. For Dad. And it ate me alive. The confession hung, a raw thread between us. Brother to brother, scars laid bare. Fix it, I said, voice breaking. Or I walk. For good. He nodded, defeated, and we drove to town together. Awkward silence in the cab, but a start. At the bank, the loan officer, Mr. Hargrove with his polyester tie, blanched at the forgery reveal. This is serious, Jacob. Could be fraud. Jake confessed, voice steady, signing retractions while I co-signed the real deal. 30 grand wired, credit intact, but trust fractured further. Back home, Ryan was waiting, Lily on his hip, a picnic basket swinging. Heard there was drama, he said, kissing my temple soft. Thought we could escape to the creek. You, me, her, and no ghosts. We did, the three of us splashing in shallows. Lily's laughter a symphony over the rush. Ryan's hand in mine underwater, secret and sure, felt like absolution. That night, as stars wheeled overhead, he whispered dreams. A life together, maybe, blending farms and cities. Lily calling me Papa Eli someday. Romance bloomed quiet, stolen glances over dinner. His fingers tracing my palm under the table. Emotions deep as the prairie roots. But climax crashed like a twister. Dad's turn came swift, fever spiking, ambulance wailing into the ER under sodium lights. We piled in, a frantic knot. Mom praying rosaries, Clara barking vitals as the nurse, Jake pacing with white-knuckled fists, Ryan squeezing my hand in the waiting room, his presence my anchor. Hours blurred, doctors murmuring palliative. Hours, maybe days. We gathered in the sterile room, machines beeping dirge, Dad lucid in his haze. Kids, he rasped, beckoning us close. Eyes on me first. Eli, forgive an old fool. The room held breath. I knelt, tears hot. Forgiven, Dad. Long as you know, I'm proud of this. I gestured us all, the messy tapestry. He nodded, weak smile cracking. Then to Jake. Take care of him. No more hidin'. Jake choked a sob, grip on Dad's hand bruising. Mom wept openly, Clara's shoulders shaking. We stayed till dawn, a vigil of stories. Dad's youth wilder than we'd known, pranks and near misses. My city triumphs, the queer center I volunteered at, helping kids like teen me. Laughter mingled with grief, human threads weaving us tighter. Dad slipped away at sunrise, the monitors flatlining soft as a sigh. The room erupted, Wails, embraces, Jake collapsing into my arms, brothers at last. I'm sorry, he whispered, over and over. For everything. I held him, the betrayal's sting fading to scar. Me too. We're good. The funeral was a blur of black suits and casseroles. Willow Creek turning out en masse. Neighbors who'd whispered once now clasping my hand, murmuring, brave boy. Ryan stood sentinel, Lily scattering wildflowers on the grave, her tiny voice piping psalms. In the receiving line, Tommy appeared, older, wiser, a vet now with a husband on his arm. Heard about you and Ryan, he grinned, hugging fierce. About time. Closure, sweet as honey. Weeks folded into healing. The farm saved, Jake and I rebuilding fences literal and not. Nights poring over ledgers, him opening up about his own hidden yearnings. A cousin in Denver he wrote letters to. Mom found solace in grief group, her hugs less desperate, more whole. Clara thrived, dating a barista with tattoos and tolerance. For Ryan and me, romance deepened roots. Weekend drives to Omaha for queer film fests, his head on my shoulder. Lazy Sundays with Lily finger-painting rainbows, her acceptance pure as dawn. One evening, under that same bonfire sky, he knelt. Not with a ring, but a promise. Build this with me? Farm, city, all of it. Tears blurred him, but I nodded, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted of forever. Years later, looking back, I see the arc. Kicked out for difference, left behind in pain, but called home by need, and in answering, found redemption. Not perfect, this American patchwork of heartland grit and urban gleam, but human, flawed, fierce, full of love that bends but doesn't break. We thrive now, a chosen family grafted onto blood, proving that sometimes, the greatest stories aren't of escape, but return.